Greetings, everyone. Welcome to this Tuesday recap edition of Old Man Squad Fantasy Basketball. This is the hat that I put through the washer, and it still has a little bit of that kind of cold, like the rim is still sweaty even after it's been cleaned. I don't know. Would a dry have helped? Probably not. It probably would have ruined the hat. But anyway, it's a Montgomery Biscuits hat that I got probably 20 years ago. 17 years ago, something like that. It does look better, though. I'll give it that. It looks shinier again. You can see the scuffs, but we're hanging in there. We have our world's tiniest review. That's what I'm calling these shows these days, because we're very much into the part of the season that you head-to-head players should probably not be playing anymore. And you Roto Games Cap players, you want to know who the guys are to chew up your games cap at the end of the year. Make sure you don't come up short, because that is the ultimate indignity. Not using up your games cap is the worst thing you can do on the Roto side, unless you're like losing by 2 turnovers, or you know what I mean, leading, losing, bench a guy, try to make sure you win turnovers. That's really the only reason you would not use up a games cap in a Roto format league. Here are the names from Tuesday. The ads board, we'll do the very closest. We'll do the watch list, same thing we've been doing lately. Again, please like, rate, and subscribe if you're finding us for the first time, which is, I'm fully aware, an absurd concept on April the 2nd. But there might be just one of you out there that's doing it, and you're going to help us stay above the 7,100 threshold. Many of these names have appeared on the ads board before. They require additional analysis. That's why they're on there again today. Or I just wanted to sort of triple down on it. First name, Adem Bona, crushing it right now for Philly. I don't care what the Gershon Yabusele situation might end up being. Bona is the starting center on that team. He had 9 points, 8 boards, 2 steals, and 3 blocks. Yes, he missed some free throws in this last ball game. No, I don't really care, because the defensive stats are so excellent that I just can't bring myself to give the first flying you-know-what about anything else going on with Bona. Over the last week, he's top 50, 11 points, 8 boards, 4.5 defensive stats in about 28 minutes a game. And here's the thing. Would that last for an entire season? No, of course not. He'd be playing against players that care. That's actually a really big deal. We're in that part of the year where a lot of the time he's going to be playing against teams that either are not taking the Sixers even the tiniest bit seriously, or fellow tanking teams. So he can rack up stats like this for 2 weeks. You don't have to worry about, oh, will this work in the long term? Because there is no long term. He's not the starting center next year. This isn't like, we got to develop the young guy, or, he's going to see how he does against prime competition. He's just going to play. Nothing to worry about. Not a care in the world. Dude's got 14 blocks and 4 steals in his last 4 ball games. That, friends, is worth putting on your roster. And he's been useful in field goal percent and rebounds. And the points have been not great, but he's not full punt points level. So at least there's that. And he's just been fun. He's been fun. Lonnie Walker is on my board. I don't know if he's going to start the rest of the way for the Sixers, but on the chance he does, he needs to be on rosters, because he's going to get a dozen shots. It kind of feels actually like yesterday was almost the low water mark for shot attempts for Walker. A usage rate was only 17. He played 33 minutes. Usually he'll be among the top couple in field goal attempts. He had 7 boards, 4 assists, 11 points, just because he didn't shoot all that well. And typically, if he's out there for 30-some-odd minutes, he'll probably bumble his way into, 1 defensive stat. So that was also on the low side yesterday. They happen to play a Knicks team that's pretty good defensively. When Cat is out, the Knicks defend a lot better. They can't score very much, but it didn't matter because they were playing a tanking team. Don't worry, we'll get to the Knicks discussion in just a moment. Walker getting 12, 13, 14 shots or whatever it is, that's going to get you a couple of 3-pointers. Again, he's not averse to a couple of rebounds and some assists while he's out there, because there isn't really like the one true point guard. So I think Lonnie Walker needs to be added, and I don't think he has been in enough places yet. Over on the Knicks side, I got to throw Mitchell Robinson on the board here. And again, this one obviously comes with the cat disclaimer. Mitch Rob had his best game Yeah, it's probably the best game of the season. Yeah, pretty safely we can call it that. He's not going to play a lot of minutes, even when Towns is out, because Robinson's body's just not going to be able to handle it. But 14 and 14 with a steal and a couple of blocks in 21 minutes, that's something that we want to be ready for on the chance that Towns gets any more days off or misses a game or whatever. He's dealing with some knee soreness, but they knew they could rest him in this Philly game because it's the front end of a back-to-back where they play Cleveland in the back half of it. And for the Knicks, their schedule is pretty tough the rest of the way. A game in Atlanta would have to qualify as the only quote unquote, well, they got Phoenix at home. The Suns are kind of cut down to their prime right now. I think the Hawks are better than the Suns right now because the Suns are down Kevin Durant and possibly also Bradley Beal, who might be back by that ball game. If you're wondering about playoff seeding, that's where things come into focus a little bit. The Knicks are 8 games behind the Celtics for the 2 seed. They're 4 games up on the Pacers for the 4 seed. And as we already talked about here, like, we're coming down the chute. So now how many games does New York have left? They've got 7 still, which is on the high side for teams that are playing it out. They still have 3 more games this week and then 4 next week. So you're going to see Cat in this game in Cleveland, which they'll probably lose. You'll see him in the game in Atlanta. You'll probably see him in the game at home against Phoenix. If they've wrapped up their spot, like if the Pacers lose a game in there and the Knicks win one, then you probably start to see Cat get maybe every other game off for that final week. Or hell, maybe he sits the entire week, at which point then that's when you'd probably turn to Mitchell Robinson. So this is not a you need to do it now type of spot. This is a you need to be ready for when it happens kind of spot. And before we get to the other New York Knick on the ads board right now, and we did a whole Russian nesting doll thing on him yesterday, BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for all sports betting action. Final Four is upon us, friends, and BetOnline has more ways to stay in on the action with the latest odds, news, and scores, and even live in-game betting while the games are being played. That's what live means. You can watch the Final Four and bet on it while it's happening. If a team goes on a run, you can bet into it or against it or whatever. With the largest selection of odds on everything from college basketball to baseball, NHL, UFC, and even the Kentucky Derby and NFL season futures are ready for you to bet over at BetOnline. Plus, in between games, or, like in the morning, if you're feeling lucky, head over to the BetOnline casino with all the top Vegas-style games, poker, and a live casino. It's a lot of fun. It's a good way to kill a little bit of time. BetOnline. The game starts here. Delon Wright is the other name. I'm not going to do the whole nesting doll thing again today, but we needed Jalen Brunson, Deuce McBride, Campaign, all to be out, but they all have been, I think, for 3 games now, if I'm remembering the timing right on this. I got to admit, like, my focus on exactly how long Delon Wright has been useful wanes a little bit, but he's got 6 steals in his 3 big-minute fill-in games. He has 2 blocks. He's averaging about 4 rebounds and 4 assists over that stretch. He's actually making more than 1 3-pointer. Good field goal guy because he basically doesn't shoot unless he's wide the hell open, and even then he might not also shoot. But he's basically a steals streamer who's doing just enough in the other stuff to give him a top 100 valuation while he's been playing more. So Delon Wright, you know what to do there. It's you got to need the stats that he's providing. Let's go to Phoenix, where we're getting our first look at the Suns without Bradley Beal and without Kevin Durant. And winner on, I guess that what is jour? I was going to say, what's the soup of the day? Soup du jour. Winner of the fantasy stat du jour is Grayson Allen in Phoenix. Allen played 34 minutes. He had 23, 4, and 3, 6 threes and a steal. And this is what we fell in love with from his fantasy stuff from last year. But the minutes and the uses just haven't been there this season. This has been we've got 3 guys that are way ahead of you in the pecking order. You are not staying healthy even in your own right. And then last year, he was only taking 9 shots. He's not down a ton to 7.5, but his role is just different. He's still hitting his threes. He's not really hitting his twos as much, and he's not hitting his free throws as much. So everything has come down. And there was always kind of a tacit assumption that the field goal percent was not going to stay at 50. He's a 45%er for about 6 years running. But the 3-point percentage is very, very good. That's sticking. It's just that, that's his job. Almost all of his shots are from 3. If his usage does tick up here, I'm not expecting 17 shots a game, but, give me 10, I'd be quite satisfied. And I think probably worth an ad, especially because Phoenix, as we just talked about, like, they're not long from being eliminated. The only thing keeping the Suns in this is how bad the rest of the bottom of the Western Conference playoff picture is right now, where the Mavs are trying to figure out how to fit their pieces together. They're 37-39. The Kings are the 10 seed at 36-39. The Suns are 35-41. They're only a game and a half back of the Kings, and someone's going to back into those spots, and the Suns are thinking, why not us? So I guess that's both good news and bad news for Allen. The bad news is they're probably going to try to get Beal back in there. And when he is, it's unclear which of these other guys is actually going to maintain value. And also, the good news side of it is if Beal doesn't come back in the next game, they're going to keep playing Grayson Allen, despite the fact that he's been kind of a broken down jalopy of a man this year. And that would be good. So you kind of have to take it piece by piece, game by game. Phoenix's next ball game isn't until Friday, so we've got a few days to wait and watch. They're in Boston, getting ready to get throttled. Keep an eye also, and we'll talk about these guys in a little bit. Ryan Dunn, Colin Gillespie, Tyus Jones are all names we'll cover when we're out of the ads section. This would be an ad if the makeup of the roster is the same on Friday that it is today. These other players, kind of maybes. Zach Edey deserves to be on rosters, and he's not on everyone, but he's on most. But he's going to just get more. Now that Ja Morant is back and they're running more pick and roll, that's good for Edey. He had 10 and 16 with 4 blocks. Really, the reason that Edey hasn't been good most of the season is that the Grizzlies moved away from a pick-setting offense into more off-ball stuff, and there's just no way to get Edey involved in the offense because he ain't going to move all that fast off the ball. So Edey back on rosters. The offense that Memphis is running right now is much more conducive to him being a part of it, and that's why I want to make sure you have him rosters. Modest Buzelis did not have quite as good of a ball game yesterday, but he did have 4 steals and a block. The usage being down is the reason that I'd be a little bit irritated. Talen Horton-Tucker taking 16 shots in, partially blowout related, is the big reason why there wasn't more Modest Buzelis, and that's frustrating for like 9 different reasons. It's also the reason that Kevin Huerter didn't get more shots up. I like both of those guys, Buzelis and Huerter, for when Chicago is playing their next competitive game, which I presume will be the next one. Bulls, by the way, are pretty well locked into the play-in. The question is whether or not they're going to have home court in that first game, because both the Bulls and the Heat are actually warm right now at the very bottom of the Eastern Conference playoff picture. And Chicago's next game is a Portland home game on Friday. So they're off for a couple of days. So again, like if you need to max out games played, you're not going to pick up these guys that are off for 2 days. But honestly, I like Portland and Charlotte coming up. These are going to be wonderfully high-scoring, zero defense games. That's when you're really going to want to have guys like Buzelis and Huerter in your lineup. And then finally, Peyton Watson is the last one. And yes, I'm fully aware that this game went to double overtime. You don't have to drop into my mentions to say, hey, Dan, his 45 minutes were because, blah, blah, blah. He's playing full starters minutes right now. Jamal Murray being out is one reason why. But with Denver, there's pretty much one player out in every ball game they're playing. And don't be surprised if like half the team is out for this San Antonio game. They need to win it. Make no mistake, Denver wants to win this game because they're now only a half game up on the Lakers for the 3 seed. And staying in the 2-3 bracket is mission critical for a lot of Western Conference teams that don't want to run into the Thunder in the second round. It's the delay the Thunder until the Western Conference Finals, if you can, run for the 2-3 bracket. The Lakers want it. They have a really tough schedule down the stretch, though, so we'll see. The Warriors are not completely eliminated from that yet because they've just been very, very good since the Jimmy Butler trade. And so then you got to go look at schedules. Who's playing who? Most of the Western Conference has pretty tough calendars coming up. Warriors' next game is in LA against the Lakers. That's tomorrow. And then they've got Denver at home, Houston, Phoenix, San Antonio. I guess their schedule next week is not so bad. Lakers, as we've mentioned, they've got the Warriors tomorrow. Then they've got the Pels and for sort of like a one-off day. Then 2 games in Oklahoma City that I'm sure they're just looking to split. Dallas on the road, that's not going to be easy. That's going to be a team that's mad. Houston back at home again. And then Portland on the last day is kind of the one break the Lakers get outside of that Pelly's game. And then if you look at Denver, they've got San Antonio today, which is kind of their soft spot. But then they also, as we just talked about, have the Warriors, Pacers. That's a pretty good team. Sacramento, they're going to be fighting. Grizzlies, I don't know what the hell they are, but they're fine. They're not good, but they're fine. And then Houston on the road. This could come down to the last day of the regular season. So expect at least someone in that group to play today. But boy, Jokic, 53 minutes. What a game. 61 points, 10 assists, 11 rebounds, 6 threes. How the hell do you lose that game with Jokic doing that? Denver shot 55% to Minnesota's 47% and lost. I haven't a clue. Have not a clue how Denver managed to. I mean, I know Russ pooped down his pants at the very end of it, but like statistically, if I just showed you a quick glance, you'd assume Denver won this game by 15 points. They had 19 more free throws, shot them at a better clip. Yeah, I know Minnesota had way more field goal attempts. That's certainly part of it. It's not a big turnover gap, only 2, 6 rebound gap. How the hell did this happen? I have to admit, I didn't watch the whole ball game. In any event, I mean, Peyton Watson is one of the younger dudes, but who knows? Maybe he gets the day off. Aaron Gordon is the one player that if you're looking at Basketball Monster, they're sort of predicting a day off there. But we'll see. Take it piece by piece, but if Watson's in, he probably should get started today. Let's look at the very close board after I stop talking for 4 seconds and see if YouTube can put the commercial in at the right spot. Only 3 names today on the very close board, for whatever that's worth. Justin Edwards, who had a down game for Philadelphia. I still think he belongs on rosters because the minutes are there, but only 7 shots and 6 turnovers. This was a particularly awful game for Justin Edwards. And so, yeah, I mean, you kind of have to rethink whether or not you want to start him every day against a games cap. How's he done lately? Well, beyond this ball game, a little bit of the shine is coming off, but he's still getting a decent chunk of counting stats most days. I don't know. He almost fits the head-to-head build a little bit more because you know he's going to just get something, but is it going to be efficient? Probably not. So that's probably the way I tip with Justin. Santi Aldama, man, all year long, I haven't really known what to do with Aldama. And at the end of it, I've mostly just said to you guys, you should just start him and then look at the end of the month, and he'll probably be around top 100, which is fine, but, not that exciting. I don't know. This time of year, I think I'd rather just take a shot, pick up some goofball you have no idea how they're going to do. Roll the dice. Spin the wheel. But that doesn't mean go with Julian Champagny, who's the next name on this board. He had a nice ball game yesterday, but the minutes in San Antonio are all over the map. Champagny had 32 minutes, and if we knew on a nightly basis that he was going to get 32 minutes, he'd be an absolute easy, no-question start. But he got 32 minutes in this one because Spurs just didn't like Keldon Johnson. And Bismack Biyombo played more in this ball game. Harrison Barnes played a little bit less, and Chris Paul was 28 minutes. That's about where he's been, I guess. Spurs are weird, man, and I haven't talked about them in a while. The only Spurs that I'm happily playing these days in Roto are Devin Vassell and Chris Paul, and then Stefan Castle is sort of your punt guy. But then the rest of these dudes, I really don't know what the hell is going to happen every night. And the watch list. We got a few extra names on the watch list, and maybe some of these guys belong on the very close board. It's all hair-splitting 101 at this point anyway. The watch list. Here are your 7 names. Delano Banton, Tyus Jones, Ryan Dunn, Colin Gillespie, Ryan Rollins. It's the Ryan Show. Gary Trent Jr. and Kevin Porter Jr. Let's start with Banton, who had a nice ball game up in Portland. He was a fill-in starter in that game for the Blazers, who got a win in Atlanta. It doesn't really matter much. No Scoot, no Anthony Simons. So this is like Not quite full New York Nick Delon Wright Russian nesting doll, but it's 2 out of 3. You need multiple point guards down. Will they be down in the next ball game? I don't know. I should have put Matisse Thybulle on this board as well. If you're streaming steals and they're down multiple point guards and just multiple rotation guys, doesn't even matter that they're the guards. You're not going to give Banton 48 minutes. You're going to give him 20 something, which is going to afford another 5, 6, 7 to drop on someone like a Thybulle. And so you give him starters minutes and he's going to get you 3+ defensive stats. That's just the way it's been. He's almost not going to do anything else, but, put Thybulle on your board as well, even though he's not typed up on your screen. Phoenix has a handful of watch list level guys. Tyus Jones is a watch list guy on the off chance he starts playing starters minutes. Colin Gillespie is a watch list guy. I just don't trust his fantasy game. And same story with Ryan Dunn, who I think gets downgraded to watch list. He's better when he has a bunch of creators around him. Ryan Dunn's not going to go get his own shot, so he's got to go, cut off ball for a dunk, get a rebound for a dunk, do the little things. But now they need him to do more than the little things because it's Devin Booker against the universe, and Ryan's just not cut out for that kind of actual real-life fantasy game. The Bucks have a couple of watch list guys. Ryan Rollins, who's the Dame starting fill-in guy at point guard, and we've seen him be okay intermittently throughout this year, but consistently not really. He's been shooting the ball well, and that's good. From a percentages standpoint, he's actually not bad. Like, all things considered, you're a starting point guard in the NBA, and you're above 50% from the field lately and around 80% at the free throw line. And for the year, he's like 49, 80-ish, something like that. Over the last 2 weeks, he's a top 90 level player on 13 points, 4 boards, 4 assists, a steal, and a couple of 3-pointers on an unsustainably high 56% from the field. Over the last 1 week, he's shooting 70%, which is also wildly unsustainable. And so it comes down to, okay, how many assists can he reliably get? And it seems like the answer is about 4. If Giannis happens to miss a game, that's when you could really kick him up a tick. But the Bucks are in a dogfight right now. They're the 6th seed. They're not going to fall into the play-in, but they're a game back of the Pistons, so they're sort of sniffing the 5. And I'm sure they would love to play the Pacers instead of the Knicks or Celtics if they fell back at all. I guess it'd be the Knicks. Knicks versus Pacers are kind of the choices there. If everything broke right, they could get as high as the 4 seed, but I don't think that's going to happen, and you probably end up playing the Pacers then anyway. So Milwaukee's still going to try here down the stretch. They're also trying to figure out how to win games with Dame out indefinitely. So Rollins is probably the top guy on the watch list. You could almost put him in the very close. Gary Trent is also on the watch list. He's more of a threes and steals only streamer. And then Kevin Porter Jr. is the wild card there. He's kind of like your X Factor dude. No clue at all what he's going to do game to game. Awful game, massive game, awful game, rotating back and forth. Points leagues, you could give him a whirl just to see what happens in case the percentages and turnovers are bad. Category leagues, I don't think I would touch Kevin Porter with a 35-foot pole. Milwaukee does have a battle against a tank opponent tomorrow in Philadelphia. They have a pretty easy schedule comparatively, and I guess just being in the Eastern Conference sort of portends an easier schedule. Philly, Miami, New Orleans, twice Western Conference opponents. They have Minnesota in there, and then they finish up with Detroit a couple of times. So there is a very real opportunity for the Bucks to pass the Pistons, and they want to make sure that they're right there to do it with those last 2 games kind of perhaps deciding the 5-6 range in the Eastern Conference. So expect the Bucks to play hard. I don't think you're going to get any scheduled off days for guys in there unless it's the next one against Philly. But even then, like, you can't take anything for granted right now if you're Milwaukee. So I don't think I'm picking up these guys, but I'm keeping a pretty damn close watch, particularly on Rollins and with sort of like a secondary nod to Gary Trent Jr. Remember to subscribe if you're just stumbling upon us here at the very end of the season. This is not the way we do shows all year, but right now at the end of the year, while like the box scores are all so jumbled and goofball, and you're probably just looking for guys to deploy against the game's cap, this is the way I feel is most efficient just hitting on the players that I thought were most interesting yesterday. We're down to one show a day. This is the transition towards off season where we will continue to do one show a day. And I don't know if you guys saw it, and I should have done this at the beginning of the show, and I'll remember to re-announce it tomorrow. But the big announcement that we dropped on Twitter yesterday at Dan Vespris, again, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff, is that our good friend and most frequent guest here on Old Man Squad Fantasy Basketball is now a member officially of Old Man Squad Sports Network. That is my good friend Adam King. They call him Kingy. He's Adam King 91 over on social media. He will be bringing all of his podcasting skills here to the Old Man Squad. So throughout the offseason, look for episodes on YouTube. You'll also want to follow his show. It's called the Balls Deep Fantasy Basketball Show. You can find that wherever podcasts are distributed. But again, if you're watching us here on YouTube, if you're a YouTube viewer, his shows will just fall right into our feed. It'll have its own little playlist tag, so you'll have to make sure that you're aware of that. But if you're subscribed to the YouTube channel, you'll get Kingy's show as well. We have another announcement coming next week that's also personnel related. Yes, 2 personnel. And then the following week, we'll have yet another announcement that's actually content related here at Old Man Squad Fantasy Basketball. So some incredible upgrades going on around here. I mean, just talking about Adam alone right now, I've worked with Adam for probably 4 or 5 years in the fantasy space, maybe more. And it's just so nice that now we get to bring it all into the same place. It's just more amazing, always free stuff for all of you guys. And I hope you guys are going to enjoy. We'll also have a lot of collabs, which we're doing anyway, but like it'll be even simpler now. But just like one-stop shop, that's the goal here, is to create a podcast utopia at Old Man Squad Sports Network in general. We are here to get podcast hosts compensated because there are so many places out there that treat pod hosts like absolute garbage, and we want to be the opposite of that. And I am not calling out names because I know as soon as I said it, I was like, somebody's going to be like, Dan's talking about so-and-so. I'm not. I just want to have a place where hosts can come and work at their speed on their passion and finish up the month and say, oh, look, I got something for my efforts right now. In addition to, of course, helping all of you guys win, make it a symbiotic relationship. We're going to do that with advertising. We're going to do that with subscriptions, with likes, with just growth of the site. And that's thanks to all of you guys. And we'll just keep putting out cool stuff for you. So welcome aboard to the great Adam King. I am Dan Vespris for Old Man Squad, and I will see you guys again tomorrow. So long for now.